Back when I was doing those Guitar Week series here on Garageband and Beyond, I got sent lots of guitars, and it was a really fun time here on the YouTube channel. We all got to look at a lot of guitars here, a lot of guitars. It was super fun. This is the guitar that, out of all of those guitars, has really stood out over the years. Almost to the day, it was 5 years and 3 days ago that I actually made the original review of this Recording King RAJ-126. And back then, I made the statement that I would rather have this than a brand new Gibson J45, which I still hold to because I am looking for a vintage J45. I've played about a dozen in the last 5 years, still haven't found the right one at the right price and all that stuff. But anyway, whole point of what I want to talk about today is I wanted to start making more guitar videos again, but also I want to start revisiting some of the guitars that I reviewed many years ago. This guitar has aged so nicely and opened up so much over the years. It just became like really obvious to me that this is something I needed to talk to you guys about, because aging instruments, it's not something you hear a lot about. And in this case of YouTube and having someone like me on YouTube who's been doing it for so long, you can now go back and listen to those original videos and hear the guitar. Now, I am going to say the room is a lot different these days, acoustically treated differently. I'm using a different pair of pencil condenser mics now. I'm using these Lewitt pencil condensers that I love. But the point is, it's still the same guitar, same guy playing. Overall, you should be able to get a good idea of how this guitar has changed. So anyway, why don't I play a little bit before I talk too much. My hands are a little sweaty today. If you can't tell, just by like the sheer, like the ear-to-ear grin that I can make for you guys, I love this guitar. I love playing it. It feels so good to play. I've only had it set up the one time when I originally got it 5 years ago. I had it set up that one time. Over the 5 years, the only adjustments that I've had to do were a couple of truss rod adjustments, which were never more than like a quarter of a turn. Obviously, when you get the guitar, it comes with a that little Allen wrench for adjusting the truss rod. A couple of turns to left or to the right, a quarter of a turn over a 5 year period. I say that's awesome. The other thing is this guitar stays in tune perfectly now. I don't even believe that I've tuned it today. I think I tuned it like 2 or 3 days ago, and I just took it out of its case and I picked it up and I started making this video. And in fact, this is the second time I'm making the video, and it's still in tune. It's crazy. I do use elixirs. They're light gauge elixirs. These are phosphor bronze ones, I believe. Oh, maybe they're the bronze ones. Yeah, I think these are the bronze ones. My friend who has a music store didn't have the phosphor bronze. So what this guitar has become is much, much better than I think any of us expected it to be. 5 years ago, I definitely expected this guitar to age. It's a solid top, solid Sitka spruce top guitar, solid mahogany back and sides. It's a great lightweight guitar too. This isn't a review of the guitar. I've already made it. Check out the link in the more info area, or hovering by my head maybe again, or maybe I did it already. This guitar is my daily player. this is the guitar that I play every single day. It's usually hanging on the wall or here in the studio. It's awesome for recording. The video that I made on Monday, it's this guitar through the Lewitt microphones in this room. It's awesome for recording. It's sort of the nice balance, because I've talked about how my HD-28 isn't all that great for recording like pop music or rock music or folk rock and stuff like that. It's too... it has too much low end. So I like guitars like this that are a little on the lesser expensive sounding side of things. Like I like Takamines for recording, but I don't really like them for their acoustic value, like if I'm just playing in the room. Yeah, personal taste. I'm a Martin HD-28 owner, and that's so that's a pretty high bar that has been set, and that is where my bar is. It's a lovely guitar. It's a lovely, lovely guitar. It plays really, really well. Anytime my friends come over, my musician friends come over, I got all these guitars. I have like 26 or 27 guitars or something crazy like that now. But anyway, whenever my friends who play come over, this is always the guitar that I put in their hands first, because initially they see the Recording King logo and they're like, okay, whatever, Lewin, can't you give me one of your Martins? I have a couple of them, and I'm like, no, you got to play this guitar. It's going to surprise you. And so like one song, maybe two songs in, at some point, most of those guys have gone, they'll be all whatever. We don't jam a lot of blues, but they'll be playing, and you'll hear them go, whoa, this thing, whoa. They'll have that moment with the instrument where like, wow, this is so much better than I thought it was going to be. And that's something else I wanted to talk about, is this guitar was highly underrated 5 years ago. The sad thing is that they stopped making them because the market has gone soft for expensive guitars that don't carry like the Taylor or the Martin name, right? And even those guys are hurting more than they used to. But that is because of guitars like this, that are a lot less expensive than the big brands, and they're pretty darn good guitars. Now, it is what it is. Times are changing. As a guitarist and someone who's on retail and as a Martin guy, it's a bitter pill to swallow sometimes, but I've picked up a couple of those like beginner Fender acoustic guitars. I have a couple of students who have them, and I've been like, wow, this thing sounds pretty good. I would happily play this guitar as like a campfire guitar, jamming with your friend's guitar, which is what this guitar is for me, which is better than those Fenders. I think what I really want you to understand is that there are a ton of guitars out there that are highly underrated, and this is one of them. And if you are in the market for a lesser expensive, all solid instrument that has that like sort of J45 look, it's got a nice little sunburst on it. It's not as nice as like the vintage finishes, obviously, but it's a nice burst, totally pretty, good enough for an acoustic guitar around the campfire, jamming with your friends, recording studio work. It's a great all-around guitar. Now, one thing I don't think that I talked about in the original review of this, maybe I did, I didn't watch the whole thing, is that there is a knot in the wood on the back of the neck of this guitar. It's right here. And when I initially saw that, I was a little taken back, because that isn't something that I would normally expect on a guitar that's supposed to be a good guitar, right? This was one of their high-end instruments. And I even mentioned it to them, and they were like, oh, sometimes it happens, da, 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 da. And I, as far as I had known, that just was sort of like a don't do it in the guitar building world. 5 years later, this neck has done absolutely nothing different in that area. There's no dimple. There's no feeling difference under my thumb. The neck is straight. The neck has not twisted. The neck hasn't done any of the things that knots can potentially create, problems that they can create sometimes. In this case, it didn't happen. I'm lucky. I just thought it was worth mentioning, because if you bump into that issue, at least my anecdotal research is it seems okay. All right, I'm gonna play some more. I do want to encourage you to go back and watch the original video because it sounds so different. And same thing that I did in that video, there's no EQ or compression on those recordings. On the lead guitar part, there's some reverb, which I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have done that, whatever. But on that lead guitar part, there is some stuff going on with that. But the regular acoustic track, no EQ, no compression. Same thing that's happening today. So you should be able to gain, some sort of perspective on how different this instrument does sound. Same player, same instrument, same basic room. A couple of improvements over the years, some pretty good ones. But essentially, you should be able to hear the difference. And I can tell you, as the owner of the instrument, there is a big difference. It is so much more, the low end is way tighter, and it's louder, obviously. But the thing that really, so it's a little bit brighter. The low end's definitely more present and more present. But the mids, that's what happened to this guitar over the 5 years as it has dried out and aged, right? The mids came out of this thing like nobody's business. This thing will honk and crank over any group of other acoustic guitars that you can put it up against, and you will definitely be heard in a large group of guitars. With this one, it is mid-rangey and beefy. It's cool. It's just a great sound. I do improv everything. None of these songs that I play are planned. I pretty much improv 100% of it. So, yeah, sometimes it happens, Anyway, I think you should be putting this guitar on your list of instruments that you might just keep your eye out for a good one at a good price. I looked today, I think it was on Guitar Center. There's only one that I could find online for sale. It's because people like me aren't selling them very often because we know what we have. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a guitar, the RAJ-126, totally something to put on your, maybe I'll get one of those one day list. You can't buy them brand new anymore. So I think that's kind of cool too. They don't even make them anymore. It's just a beautiful guitar, super fun to play, have it properly set up, take good care of it. You got to keep it humidified. I will say over the 5 years here in Philadelphia where we have, 4 dramatic seasons and 4 seasons of dramatic humidity shifts in the air. This guitar has stayed pretty damn stable. When it has, maybe the neck will go back a little bit. That's when I had to make those few truss rod adjustments. A quarter of a turn. Either, some season it was to the left, some seasons it was to the right. It was no big deal. Totally standard stuff. Didn't need a whole setup or anything like that. The bridge has not peeled on this one at all. And we will be talking about the other guitars that have started to fall apart. And it's mostly bridges. There are a few review instruments that I don't know how many of them are still for sale. But I will just put it out there. A couple of those guitars have started peeling. And we'll talk about that at a different time. So, you guys, I think that's about all I need to do as far as this video is concerned. Thank I'll play you out a little bit. Oh, finger pick you out. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here over to Garageband and Beyond, watch these videos that I make. There are tons of them, cover all sorts of different topics, recording, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, all sorts of stuff for the professional musician, beginners or advanced players. You will find interesting content here on Garageband and Beyond. I have been doing this longer than anybody. I have had the longest running, consistently running recording channel about recording on GarageBand, instrument stuff, professional musician stuff, music that I record and write every Monday. I'm proud of what I've built here, and you guys are a big part of why I continue to do it. Obviously, you're the main reason I do it, because you watch it and you like it, and I just, man, I really appreciate that. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who watches. If you feel like hitting that subscribe button, that would be awesome, and I would really appreciate it. If you don't, I get it. Who needs all the notifications, right? Bell button will do that. So if you want to hit the bell, that's cool. Patreon people, you're keeping the thing afloat, and we're all happy. All right. Have a great day, guys. Peace.